Hello, people of the world watching car reviews on the internet. Welcome to the 2025 Ford Explorer ST. Today I'm gonna get this not a cop car up in the air. We're gonna nerd out in the tech specs, see how it is constructed, and then go give it the beans. All right, let's do this. What is going on there? What? Are you serious? It has actual metal exhausts, but you can see that it's fake. It's got a downturn tip that comes out the bottom. Why would you do that? You need to fire whoever made that. You'll notice it has a tow hitch because the 25 models will tow 5,000 pounds, which is a reduction from the previous model year for some reason. Out back, the Explorer ST utilizes a mostly aluminum in construction multi-link rear suspension. The knuckles are also aluminum. It's primarily just the front links, which are steel. The ST model gets its own unique rear coil spring as well as different valved dampers to increase handling ability, and they are manufactured by Fomoco in-house blend. The rear anti-sway bar, which is mounted to the back of the subframe, measures in at approximately 21 millimeter in diameter. Housed in the center of the steel rear subframe is a non-limited slip 3.58 final drive ratio rear differential. Take note, this model has a 3-bolt rear subframe, which means there's not a second mount back here on the other side of the rear diff, which if you're gonna modify these, you'll definitely wanna run a brace right here to handle extra torques. This 6th generation Explorer sits on Ford's CD6 platform, weighing in at 4,631 pounds, about 300 pounds heavier than the base model. Under panels, hairy cardboard with some aluminum heat shielding. Exhaust mid pipes, 2 of them, mind you, measure in each at 54 millimeter in diameter, which is like 2 1/4-ish. Unpainted steel drive shaft, aluminum transmission crossmember. As far as the transmission goes, this is equipped with Ford's 10R60 10-speed automatic transmission, jointly developed between Ford and GM, has a max torque input rating of 600 newton meters or 443 pound-feet. It's capable of skip shifts as well as it has a beefed up transmission cooler for the ST trim. But what's unique and special about this ST is this one is 2-wheel drive and it's rear-wheel drive, which is super unique and different for a unibody-based, essentially soccer mom mobile. It makes it quite a bit spicier too with this power level. You can get this with all-wheel drive, but I just think that's neat that it's rear. You see, a transmission pan is plastic. It's got a transmission cooler off here to the side. And ease of maintenance because of this longitudinal layout is easy. Transmission's right here, not stepped up above a subframe. Up front, it utilizes a dual lower link McPherson strut style front suspension, both of which those are made out of aluminum, but the knuckle is steel. Well, that's pretty sad. They actually have to stamp no lift on there, like that isn't obvious enough. Front anti-sway bar, which is enormous, measures in at approximately, I seriously think that is the biggest anti-sway bar I have measured to date. 35 millimeter in diameter. Ugh. Hairy cardboard under the engine. Durable plastic up front though. And the chin spoiler is pretty thick. All right, it's time for the braking test. Nothing behind me. Ready, set, go. Okay. That was nice. That was smooth, really crunchy with the ABS and the pedal. And I would say it was on par stopping distance with what I was expecting out of it. Neither disappointing nor overly impressive. That braking was just made possible thanks to a jumbo-sized 2-piston front caliper with a 363mm or 14.3-inch front rotor. These performance brakes, which used to be an option, are now standard, and I'm kind of surprised that they didn't go with like a 4 or 6-pot Brembo on here, but I guess it's cheaper. The wheels, they are a 21x9 with a positive 37.5mm offset die-cast alloy wrapped in a set of two 75, 45, 21-inch Pirelli Scorpion Zero all-season tires. What do you get when you combine the two best Mortal Kombat characters? A tire. Hairy carpet inner fender liner, LED fogs, functional aero, active grille shutters behind the front bumper, as well as up top behind the grille. The rears, also hairy carpet. Out back, things shrink a little bit. You go down to a single piston caliper, still painted red just like the front though, with a 350mm or 13.8-inch rotor. The wheel and tire, square stance, same size as you get up front. In the name of science, it is now time to give it the beans. But first, an assessment of bolstering capabilities. Great! This is excellent bolstering for being a soccer mom-mobile. The center of the seats are Alcantara suede with the ST logo hidden behind the perforations. It's only viewable from one angle. These seats are heated, ventilated, as well as massage. And this isn't some loaded up luxury optioned one either. Circular cushion. Whoa, it's squeezing my butt cheeks. Also 3-way memory. It also has 3 different positions of lumbar support. There's a low, a mid, and an upper with 10 levels of adjustability. I've never seen that in a vehicle before. The back seats have the ST logo also, and they're Alcantara suede in the center, leatherette on the sides. As far as drive modes go, I have a little dial here in the center, and I can go from tow mode to sport, eco, to normal, to slippery, and to trail. That's interesting on a rear-wheel drive vehicle. In the center of the drive selector dial, I also got an M button, which puts it into manual mode, where there are some flappy paddles in the back of the steering wheel. Right above this little shelf, I have a button for traction control. Press it and hold for advanced track off, and that defeats advanced track. All right, let's see what this one tire Fire Bandit can do. Ready? Go. Light launch, there we go. Good torques, quick shifts. Sounds fantastic. That's good. That's really good. This thing moves out, that's for sure. Hood pop. Oh, it's a double pop. Holy shit, that's a light hood. That thing weighs like hardly anything. No hood struts though. That's impressive for how big of a hood it is. Underneath the hood of the 2025 Ford Explorer ST is the 3-liter dual overhead cam twin turbocharged EcoBoost V6, which produces 400 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 415 pound-feet of torque at 3,500 RPM. Because this is a 60-degree V6, both of the cylinder heads are fairly close together, which subsequently gives you a mile of room right here on the side of the engine to access stuff. You can see the steering shaft right here. Turbo is down there by the charge pipe coming up into an air-to-air intercooler. You can see it right here through the front grille, spans the entire length. Dual inlets on the passenger side, and then it flows into a single throttle body, and then into a plastic intake manifold right here on the top of the engine. Also has plastic valve covers, a weird little air box in the front here for the filter. Taking it a little bit deeper on this 2,956cc 60-degree V6 has a compacted graphite iron and aluminum block with an 85.4 by 86 millimeter bore and stroke, a 10.5-to-1 compression ratio, has a forged steel crankshaft, forged connecting rods, and cast aluminum pistons. Moving up into the cylinder heads, it does use Ford's TI VCT twin independent variable camshaft timing on both intake and exhaust cams. The exhaust manifolds are cast directly into the head where each of the twin turbos bolt up to. It does have direct inject only, no port fuel injection. Got a big old stamped steel strut tower brace between the aluminum aluminum strut towers. The hardest part of maintenance would be the rear two most cylinders are tucked a little bit under that wiper cowl. ECU on the passenger side of the engine bay, underneath this door. Brake master cylinder, looks like it might have an electronic brake booster, and also the fuse box. And on the passenger side, you got the battery stuffed down inside there. I think the biggest takeaway with the Explorer is the fact that Ford made the drivetrain longitudinally mounted again, which is kind of bringing it back to its roots. And I much prefer this than transverse mounted. Beans. If not anything, this is a fantastic sounding engine. That is for sure. I'm curious to see how this 4,000 pound plus beast will take a corner. Low expectations just because the weight. Dipping into another. Yeah, I can see why they use these as police pursuit vehicles. I mean, they go like hell and doesn't take a corner too bad either. I can only imagine what the all-wheel drive version is like. It's probably like a giant Mitsubishi Evo or Subaru STI. Yeah, it masks its weight. It definitely does. Man, you could make a little rig that will haul a family and haul ass pretty seriously with one of these. What I do notice about driving this thing, especially in like normal traffic and stuff, is it feels more proper, almost truck-like. I don't want to say it drives like a truck because it's on a unibody, but it's got some heft to it. And I like that it's gone more in that direction and less in the minivan direction with this drivetrain configuration prior to how it was transverse before. It also probably makes it a lot easier for maintenance since these are used as police vehicles. For this just being a fixed rate suspension, it's a good balance between firm but still super comfy. Yeah, I think a lot of the handling has to do with how wide the meats are on this also, but this is on all seasons. I couldn't imagine if you put a performance tire on it, how well it would do. Color me surprised that they're able to do what they can do with an Explorer, making an ST trim out of it. Granted, this is definitely not going to fill the void of the former Fiesta ST and the Focus ST and RS, but it's nice to see performance versions of vehicles you wouldn't typically expect to see performance versions of. I kind of think that this ST trim just exists for the sheer fact that the police force needs a pursuit vehicle package, and why not turn it into a performance trim for civilians to use? One complaint I do have about this, which is also something that makes me like it even more, is the fact that it has an open rear diff. While I would prefer to see an optional Torsen out back, especially on the two-wheel drive model, I can kind of see why they don't, because this is a type of vehicle that's most likely going to be used to haul kids to school in, and it's rear wheel drive. But the open rear diff, when you send this thing hard around a very sharp bend, pulling into a road or something, it'll kick the ass end out and just start spinning one of the tires. Obviously, that's how an open rear diff works, but it adds character and flavor to this thing and makes it fun and enjoyable to drive. The hatch popper button on this thing is kind of tricky to find. It's under the R on the unibrow. With the third row up, there's plenty of room for riot control gear or safety triangles. There's a little LED light by the buttons so you don't struggle to find them at night, and you press L and R and you can robo-fold both seats. A little subwoofer back here, some hieroglyphs about the battery and a tie down. There's some little slots where you can store some boba straws or Slim Jims. You can also set your height so you don't melee the roof of your garage. The back seat of the Explorer ST has captain's chairs. A little armrest. These are really nice seats too. Do these recline? Oh, they do. Is that metal? It is. Got my own HVAC vent, LED light, little plastic hook. Oh shit handle, it's plastic though. Upper middle class shades. Plenty of leg room, also map pockets. I also have my own dedicated HVAC control back here. USB-Cs, AC power inverter. Got a net. There's a little pouch for the seatbelt. The seats slide. Oh. My knee, you can see my knees are kind of squished into it, but then again, the seat is all the way back. Oh geez. I got a cup holder, a tie down in case your kids are unruly, you can anchor them in. It's a rather sad, flaccid looking headrest. I don't know if this seat actually reclines or not. No, That's for your headrest. I got my own HVAC vent in the back. The best way to describe the interior of the Explorer ST is it feels sporty as well as cozy. It's just a comfortable place to sit. Flat bottom steering wheel with the ST logo embroidered in it. Another hidden cubby. What's in there? Oh, it's some more charge ports. Center console. It's got some more USB-Cs. The top of the clamshell's got a hunter killer spying on you. Robo fold mirrors. The dash has Explorer written across it, and this is like a zippy material. This is fabric. The Bang & Olufsen sound system that's in here is decent. It's clear, it doesn't really get muddy up top, and it's got good bass. As far as the infotainment system goes, it's fairly simple, self-explanatory to use. It's got some ambient lights, you can change the different colors. The icons on the main menu are a little overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff packed in here. The gauge cluster is also full digital, and this one has the Blue Cruise, which is a completely hands-free cruise control system, so it changes lanes for you when you hit the blinker. Oh, you can hear the diverter valve on this thing when you floor it. So, sounds like an owl giving birth. Anyway, I'm gonna switch this thing over into normal mode. Ah, yes. Calms down the transmission. It's, possibly throttle response. I think that's about all I really noticed from the driver's seat perspective. One thing I do notice from the driver's seat perspective though, is that when you're driving this in normal traffic, people constantly will drive exactly the speed limit or possibly a couple miles per hour under the speed limit around you. Because this thing looks just like an undercover cop. I don't know how many times I had people slam on their brakes and slow down when they came to approach me in traffic. It's kind of hard to assess the value of this bare bones ST compared to maybe like an Explorer Sport from back in the day. In the low $50,000 range, I mean, it is nice on the inside. You are getting that 400 horse 3-liter under the hood that's capable of quite a bit more power when you turn the boost up. I think the biggest takeaway from the Explorer ST and the Explorer in general is just the longitudinal drivetrain, and it's just unique and different. It is now time to give this thing some scores. Starting with the bean score, the assessment of the feeling you get in your gut when you give it the beans. And it earns a rating of... Next is the cookie score, the assessment of value, and as this one is equipped with hardly any options added to it in the upper 50s, it gets a rating of... Followed by the wrench score, the assessment of ease of maintenance, and it earns a rating of... And the squid score, the assessment of handling, and it earns a rating of... Whoa, it's extendo, even more than it... Well, that's fancy. That's quite the reach. And lastly is the penguin score, the assessment on how much I personally like a vehicle. And the 25 Explorer ST gets a rating of... This is a lot more fun to drive than I was expecting it to be. I would definitely say if you're gonna get the 2-wheel drive one though, to upgrade the rear diff to a Torsen unit from the Timberline edition, or just an aftermarket one. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'll see you soon with another. Bye.